Well, for the last decade, I've brought you numerous stories on the effects of climate change, sometimes with catastrophic results. We've visited Florida, Annapolis, and several local areas that are trying to sustain their disappearing shorelines. Today, we visit Blackwater National Wildlife Refuge on Maryland's eastern shore, where changes are happening right before your eyes.
Refuge was established in 1933. So due to sea level rise, subsidence, and the non-native rodent nutria, they essentially, all this tidal marsh converted to open water.
It used to be all tidal marsh out to the distant tree line when the Blackwater National Wildlife Refuge was established in 1933. The site was seen as a sanctuary for wintering waterfowl, everything from osprey, ducks and geese, squirrels, and bald eagles. Today, it's also a place to see climate change in action.
Blackwater Refuge has seen over 5,000 acres of tidal marsh that's converted to open water since the refuge was established in the early 30s. And so people that come to the refuge, they drive around our wildlife drive. That vast body of open water to the south was all tidal marsh when the refuge was established.
This is an example of recent impacts of sea level rise. Over my shoulder, you see a ghost forest, what used to be a thriving pine forest. But as salt water moves inward, it eventually kills all above ground vegetation.
I've been here about 9 years, and just in that time frame, this has gone from a healthy hardwood and pine forest to essentially ghost forest and marsh habitat. As that salt penetrates farther and farther into the forest, the hardwood trees start to die off. You get the water standing for longer and longer. It drowns out these trees and these forest habitats. The trees die off, and it slowly converts to a tidal marsh environment.
According to the U.S. Geological Survey, sea level rise around the refuge is double the average, not just because of more ocean water, but also because the land itself is sinking. Audubon, Maryland, and the Conservation Fund were so concerned about the rapid destruction of habitat that they teamed up to assess the region, developing a sea level rise adaptation plan.
There are about 7 or 8 species of birds that are largely dependent upon the salt marsh for their existence, for nesting and living generally. And it was targeted around them, but the other species benefit as well.
The groups want to prolong the life of the most important habitats by adding sediment to elevate the marsh surface and help establish root systems. But what you see in red in this map is what's likely to disappear before the end of the century.
And Cambridge is not far away. Dorchester is in the epicenter of this change that's coming in the bay. There are other counties, Somerset, Wicomico, other areas that are also being affected by sea level rise. It's a real challenge.
I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I frequently think about, her future and what Dorchester County is going to look like when she's my age, and it's going to be dramatically different.
And yesterday we toured the opening of the new Harriet Tubman Museum, which is located just down the road from the Blackwater Wildlife Refuge. Experts are now saying that the land surrounding the museum will most likely be affected by climate change and could be underwater by the end of the century.